Welcome to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, I have head men's and women's track and field coach Dan Meyers. Coach, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jagger.
So we didn't get to talk to you last week. Just a little bit from the January 13th Muskie Meet number 1.
Yeah, so I think we came out with like 21 personal bests in that meet. And, I was, very pleased with just the team energy coming off a break. And it was our first time at Muskegum. This is only their second year having that facility open. And, I honestly, I'm excited to go back there this weekend. And, unfortunate that, due to weather, weren't able to travel to Youngstown last weekend, but still had a lot of personal bests. The throws group did excellent. Natalie had another pretty solid meet, and just overall was really excited to get some more times on the board. But we have some major work to do this weekend, and we're looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. So,
and Natalie at the Muskie Meet number 1 broke 2 school records. We talked off the air about her. Besides her going to Muskie this weekend, you're sending her to North Carolina. Just what goes into a decision like that, sending her out by herself, just for better competition, really?
I think a lot of it just had to do with, it's very, very rare that, we were planning to go to a meet like Youngstown. And, it's very rare that when you go to a meet like that you get your runners into elite sections, into the top heat. And she was supposed to be in the top mile heat with some Division I runners, a lot of girls in the conference, D&E, Charleston. And I felt like there was a big PR coming, running on an oversized track and whatnot. So I felt like, basically we made that decision about 5 a.m. on Friday. And by like 7 a.m., I already had a message back from JDL that they would like to extend an invite to her. So, I think that's just a huge opportunity for her, not even so much from a time perspective, from an experience perspective. The nice thing about JDL, we've talked, a little bit, off air and on here about like the differences in the tracks and whatnot. And obviously with the 200 meter track, like, she got some pretty good conversions from Muskegum, but JDL, it's the JDL fast track. It's one of the fastest 200 meter tracks in the country. And flat tracks, and you get the conversion. So good competition, fast track, and still get the conversion. And I think she's going to have about 4 hours in between events. So that's huge. She'll run the 800 in the mile, and she's earned this opportunity. And even after some big races this weekend from girls in the conference, she's still, I was just looking up, she's still 3rd in the 800 and 4th in the mile. So, that's still excellent to be where she's at. And I think that, for someone like her and the goals that we have, like heading down to JDL this weekend, and, I'll hate not being there and being with but I'm excited to be with the group at Muskegum. And I know that she'll be taking care of business while, we're getting things done at Muskegum.
Well, and speaking of Muskegum, you go there again this weekend. Familiar place. You've been there plenty of times before, and you've already been there once this year. Expectations from the rest of the team just heading there this weekend?
Yeah, I think that we just got to keep the wheels turning. And last week was kind of a burden weather-wise, but everyone in this region's dealing with the same things. And we're just excited to just kind of shake off some, rust from not being able to compete during it. And looks like we'll be able to get some snow off the track this week and get some quality sessions in on the track. But more than anything, I think people are just excited for the opportunity to compete. And Youngstown historically hasn't been where we've taken the full team, and we were going to last weekend. And towards the end of the season, when we go to Marshall, we'll take the full team there now. But I think people are excited to because some people are still competing for travel spots for us, and some people are competing to make the conference meet still, and that's exciting with where our conference is. That it is kind of a lot of people put in some hard work just to try to just slip into the conference meet, and each year it gets harder and harder. But seeing everyone in here 7 a.m. on Monday in the weight room, and just kind of starting the week out early and in hopes and improving their marks to head to the conference meet, and that's the goal. Just go to Muskegum this weekend. Leave it all out there and just hope we're just a little bit closer to making the conference meet individually, and then as a whole just keep bringing the energy.
Yeah, 100% agree. Well, Coach, I wish you luck this weekend, and appreciate you coming on today.
Yep, thank you, Jagger.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, I have head men's basketball coach Bob Bolen. Coach, thanks for being here.
Sure appreciate being here.
So first, I'll briefly speak on the week prior. We didn't get to talk to you last week. But D&E was a hard loss on the road, and then turned around with a big win against West Virginia Wesleyan, 93-54. And then this past week, the Wheeling game on Wednesday, nail biter. Just briefly on that, Coach.
Yeah, it was just a great game. Came down to the final possession of the game, and Dom Penn made a great play, knocked a 3 down, and we were losing by 2. So that gave us a 1-point lead, but we still had to stop them for 10 seconds, and they had 2 shots. And
good looks too.
I thought the second one. I thought we had good defense on the second one. And the first one, Rygag came over to help, was a little bit late. May have got a finger on it that caused him to miss it. But it was just great to get out there with a win. And, we've been really successful, I think, 6-1 in single-digit games. So, learning how to win those kind of games at the end of a game is very important for a team's growth. And I was very pleased with that.
The decision with Dom Penn, he hadn't been shooting the ball as well that night. Was that a decision to go for 3 for the win? Is that how you drew it up?
Well, we had 2 options on that, and one option was the guy coming off Dom's pick. If he was open, we were playing for overtime, and then both guys took Dom's man, and the other one took Prince, and that
Dom
left
wide
Dom open. Yeah. So, we had an option to go for overtime, and we had an option to go for the win.
Yeah, and then moving forward to Saturday's game, West Liberty, Ben Hallett there. I mean, they were runner-up last year. He really rebuilt the roster to fit his style. What were the struggles there on Saturday?
Yeah, we had trouble staying in front of the ball, and then when they would get driving and we would have to help, they were getting good looks at threes. And if you look, the first 10 minutes of the game was even.
Yeah.
And the first 10 minutes of the second half was even. And I talked to some other coaches, they call it the blackout, where they just press you so much, and at some point in the game, a lot of teams start throwing it to the wrong color jerseys, and that happened with us. And, hopefully next time they come up here, we'll have a little bit more time to prepare and, see if we can handle that pressure better. But it was, to come off a great win like that, and the season in this conference is just a roller coaster.
It really is.
Anybody can beat anybody. West Liberty's really good. And I thought Charleston's really good, but, we were in that game the whole game. So, every night's going to be a competitive game. And you got to bounce back from the bad nights and then not get too high on the good nights. And, that's the struggle of this conference.
Well, speaking of that, West Liberty converted on 23s. It was a season high for them. It also felt like at D&E, especially there early on, they could have thrown it from half court and it was going in. It was just one of those nights for both games. As a coach, when you're in one of those games where it feels like the other team, no matter what, no matter how good your defense is, they're just going to make them. I mean, how difficult can that be?
Yeah, it was. But, D&E, we were down huge at half, and then we cut it down
to 13 with like almost 10 with 6 minutes left.
Had the ball twice.
Yeah.
And had the ball twice. So, one characteristic of this team, we never stop fighting.
100%.
And, but we got to do a better job of defending the 3. But that starts with defending the drive. That's how they're getting the 3s. But, we'll keep working and keep trying to get better at it.
And with the Mountain East being so competitive, it's not going to get any easier. This week, traveled to West Virginia State, Concord. Met with West Virginia State earlier this year, got the win to open up conference play. Looking at them again, they've kind of, not that they've gotten hot, but they've definitely played to their potential. They're 6-3 in the league now, sitting, I believe, tied for 4th. What kind of, struggles do they present to you, and what do you look forward to there?
Well, they've won 4 in a row and 8 out of their last 10, so they're really playing well. And, you can't stop Anthony Pittman, but you got to try to contain him.
Yeah.
Contain him off the dribble. And then he's a great passer, great rebounder. We have to play good team defense, and, we have to get good looks on offense, make sure we're getting the right shot, and then just compete. We got to battle them on the boards. After losing up here, they're going to be waiting for us, and they're going to be ready, but we're going to be ready. So it should be 2 real competitive games against 2 really good teams on the road this week.
Yeah, because Saturday's Concord received votes in the Atlantic Region poll. But, Coach, I appreciate you coming on this week.
All right, Jagger, thank you for having me.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, I have head women's basketball coach Emily Stoller. Coach, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me on this morning.
So we didn't get to talk to you last week. So briefly, the week prior, Davidson Elkins and Wesleyan managed to get some blowout wins there. And then this past week, Wheeling and West Liberty. Wheeling coming in was tied for first in the Mountain East. Just quickly on that game and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, super good matchup for us there. We knew we had to prepare for them days in advance. Really good team in the conference. I think they turned a lot of heads early on
100%.
this year. So a really good pickup win for us. So.
And then West Liberty this Saturday went on the road. Not that Glenville has struggled there on the road in previous years, but they've always given us something to fight with. But able to pull out with the 19-point win there. Just your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So West Liberty. They're always a good opponent for us to match up with. I mean, it's a tough gym to play in. The lights are real bright going in there. I think it shocked a lot of my girls new to the conference this year, and but super tough environment to play in as well. And the team real unpredictable. I told my team, they're streaky. They'll throw up a 40-point quarter on us. So the game was never closed out until late in the fourth quarter. We knew that we had to keep our foot on the gas.
Yeah, and early in the year, started out 6-4. Kind of couldn't. The talent has always been there, just couldn't really get it to mesh. Now on a 6-game winning streak, it seems like it's starting to mesh. What changed from the first 10 games to this past 6, where you've been able to just, not that you've blown out everybody, but not a lot of them have been super competitive all the way through.
Right. I think and it could be a bunch of different factors, and I might just be pulling these out from anywhere, but early on, I have a ton of new kids, and a lot of kids who've never played with each other, have never played in these gyms and conference, and we were just getting our feet wet and in the water in the first half of the season, and we went home for Christmas break, and really I saw a fire light underneath of them when we played Carson Newman, and I think we've had our foot on the gas since that game, and they're really playing well together as a team right now. I'm really proud of them for that. We've had several games in the second half of the season where adversity has hit, and we've stuck together like glue through those points, and that's really a determining factor for me as a coach. Seeing my team play together like that, and that fire that switched after Christmas break.
And you could see it too. I mean, there's a standard with Glenville State women's basketball, and that's starting to be reached. And the West Liberty game, able to cause 40 turnovers. It seems like everything is starting to gel. Another thing that I think has been noticeable, High Haywood, and then obviously Lauren Calhoun, big pickup out of the transfer portal. They've really started to come on here lately. Not that High was playing bad, but she wasn't, I think, playing to what the expectations were. Lately, she's had multiple 20-point games. What's changed for them as well? I mean, I think the mesh between them two has worked well lately too.
Yeah, I think a lot of the games here, especially later on, have come down to execution, and that's something that we haven't had to worry too much about in the past with the league. But the league is really competitive this year, so I really stress to them the importance of execution and the times that execution is needed, and that's something really new for us. So I think they've kind of figured that out. What's really special about this team is the conference knows we have all-stars in High Haywood and Lauren Calhoun, but on any given night, any of my kids on the roster all the way down that play can throw up a 20-point game. So we're real unpredictable in that area as well.
Well, that's a big difference too, is I think not a lot of teams can say that their 11th player on the bench could have a 20-point night any given night. And I think that's a big difference here. And you talk about the competitiveness. It's not going to get any easier this coming week. West Virginia State, team who beat you earlier in the year, I think they caught you at a good time for them. You weren't playing your best basketball. Now you are. Looking to that, what are your expectations there?
Yeah, so I don't want to cap us on that with playing our best basketball. I think I want to save that one for March, but we're definitely on an upward slope right now, which, that'll vary throughout conference play here with the week that we have coming up. West Virginia State, they're a great team, preseason pick number 1. The record definitely does not show the talent that they are capable of all across the board. Their scoring is balanced. They have a lot of threats. They play the exact same style of basketball that we play, so that's always like a really fun game and really competitive matchup there. So excited for the week ahead of us. Yeah,
because they started the year hot, and then they kind of hit a little bit of a skid, and now they're back to playing their style of basketball. And then Concord, you play Saturday as well. Another good team this year. But Coach, good luck this week, and thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you for having me.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coach Show. With me now, the final coach of the show, head wrestling coach, Dylan Cottrell. Coach, thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to be back, talk some wrestling.
So we weren't able to talk to you last week. So the 13th, January 13th, Saturday, big weekend. You picked up your 6th straight. 4th, 5th, and 6th straight duels wins, 2 top 25 wins, 2 15 wins, actually. Just talk a little bit about that weekend.
Yeah, it was good. I think for the most part, right, that was as close to a perfect day that we've put together so far with our wrestling. Some ups and downs, as always, when you wrestle that much. But, again, we had Tiffin in Lake Erie the week before at National Duels. So this was already scheduled. We ended up not moving it around and kind of wrestling them again. But, for the most part, we wrestled some different guys. They wrestled some different guys. So it wasn't really the same duel over again. We had some good wins from guys that, are not necessarily our starters, right? So that was good to see. Get to see some guys, some new guys get in the lineup and keep our starters healthy. Didn't have any injuries so that's always a good thing. We're going, into this next weekend pretty healthy right now. So, hoping this week of practice we stay that way and can go full strength into conference.
So this past weekend you got canceled. If your schedule was formatted to where you didn't have a match scheduled, would it be different, scheduling your practices rather than you're building up to the week and then you just can't wrestle? Would you schedule that differently, or how does that affect you guys?
I guess it was a little bit different for us. All we really did instead of having the match is we just had practice that day, and we made sure that practice was a lot of live wrestling simulated. So we kind of did the same thing. Instead of wrestling against Garrett and Notre Dame, right, we did it in-house. It was still good because, where it was so late, our guys still practically made weight, right? And that's kind of the whole point of this weekend anyways before was a tune-up, right? So we can do the wrestling in-house, but we got our guys down to weight again, right? Instead of having, to wait 2 weeks to make weight. So, in essence for us, it really wasn't a huge thing. The plan, and, this is nothing against Garrett, right? Or anything, but they're a small community college, right? The plan was to bring in a team that we would really beat up on, get our guys a little bit of confidence, right? We already won our last 6, so the confidence is big, but just a little tune-up, right? And so that getting canceled and changing to where we did it in room, it might have actually been better for us, at the same time. I mean, you can't simulate live action goes no matter what, right, in the room, but still, we didn't go out there. We didn't have any injuries, right? And it was good. And our guys still kind of made weight, right? Like, a couple hours here and there. It doesn't really matter. They were all down to weight. So, in essence, it wasn't a huge thing. I'm not worried about it. I don't think it changed any of our training going towards the MEC championships.
And now, speaking of the MEC championships, coming up this week, big time event. We talked before, you've made your schedule the toughest that you possibly could to set you guys up for success for the postseason. This is step one of that. How prepared do you feel you are, and what are your expectations there?
Yeah, I think we're wrestling the best we've wrestled, and we're the healthiest we've wrestled, or the healthiest we've been. So I'm excited for the conference tournament. It's a 2-team race in case something disastrous happens for either one of us and West Liberty. But I really think that the way it's set up, and this is everything, right? This is going to sound kind of cliche, but it's who wrestles better that day, right? Because it's so close, right? Yeah. There's not going to be a ton of help from the other 5 teams. So a lot of the matches are going to be like, hey, can we make sure we get through the bracket clear, right, on the ones we should, and those other teams don't help out West Liberty, right? And in their sense, right, it would be great if a couple of their guys got upset by maybe some other people, right? But you can't count on that. So at the end of the day, right, it's going to be those matches where we line up head-to-head with West Liberty, right?
Do your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with just how it is and how the points are set up, it's like a dual meet inside of an actual tournament, right? We're going to have to beat West Liberty more than they beat us in this, right? We're not going to get a whole lot of help, and they're probably not going to get a whole lot of help, right? So, we got to be ready to go, but I feel very confident, right, that we have a great chance of coming back here as the Mountain East Conference champions, more than any other year that we've been here. So, guys got to be prepared. They got to wrestle, but they also got to have fun with it, right? They got to understand that just because it's a postseason, right, tournament, whatever you want to put that it's no different than anything else, right? Yep. They need to have fun. They need to go out there and score points. If we do that, I think we're going to be all right on the backside of Saturday night.
Well, Coach, it's a big, exciting weekend coming up, and want to wish you good luck and appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.